Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, we are going to discuss past decades most used term and still quite a hot term, microservices. In this video, we'll try to understand what are microservices and how to build them. I hope the reason you are here because you know a little bit about microservices. Maybe you have some use case in mind, but you don't know where to begin. All right, so our objective, we'll have a very little bit of chat about microservices. I'm not going to speak a lot about microservices because that's exactly what happens outside. People just talk, okay, but nobody tells you how to exactly build them, okay, and what are they. Um, as I said, it's going to be fully hands-on video. We will be actually taking a use case, and use case will be a monolithic or legacy application. We will try to break that application and try to use microservices based architecture pattern. All right. So what are microservices? Tell me one thing. When you heard of microservices for the first time, what did you think? When I say, tell me, leave a comment at the bottom. And I want you to read that comment later on. Okay. Did you think it's a silver bullet solution to all the problems in the world? You'll be able to build flying cars in no time. Or you're gonna start up a new company and it's gonna be Google, right? I think that's kind of my thinking. That's what I thought. Okay, so when I heard of microservices a few years back, I started reading few books. I read like 20, 30 blogs, watched few videos, got fully pumped up, and then came to my computer and I started writing. But guess what? I didn't know where to begin. What exactly it means in practical terms, microservices. Nobody was actually explaining. People were just hyping this term microservices all over the place. Okay, so quite a few facts and most of them myths. It's not going to change what you do day to day. It might change, however, how you write your code, how you architect your application. You will always have a few things in mind, customer experience, high availability, resiliency, all these nice things in today's world, right? When was the last time you saw big enterprise websites such as Google, Netflix, Amazon going down? They don't go down, but yet you still see them getting changed every other day, right? This is what you get from microservices because you have a service or a set of services which are kind of running all the time, so you are not relying on one service, but it's a mixture or like these are microservices. All right, so yes, so it's not a silver bullet, it's not going to change anything in your life. Most of the things are actually myth because at the end of the day you still will be writing code. So most of the time today we are just going to spend in our workshop, right? We will be taking a existing application. Let's say I have some e-commerce website. Let's call it e-shop. Okay, so in this e-shop, what happens is I have quite a few modules. I have customer module, I have a products module, I have orders module, I have some finance module, and they all talking to one database, right? This is how typically you see or you envision or you build monolithic applications. Everything sitting in one code base and deployed in one container. Really good stuff, right? There are side effects, of course, but it solves few problems as well, right? Because all the things are kind of deployed in same container, so you don't have maybe security issues, you don't have performance issues, right? Okay, you can test it quite easily. So good stuff. So we have this monolithic application. What we need to do is we need to migrate this monolithic application because it has some side effects as well. So let's just first try to understand what are some of the pros and cons of a monolithic application. Pros, as I was saying, is easy to test because everything is kind of glued together. It's in one code base. You can write things easily, you can mock things, or you can stop things easily. You can test it. Easy to debug as well, because let's say, like, if I just go back to my screen, if I'm trying to debug an order and I'm trying to understand maybe why some of the customer details were wrong, I will be able to debug right there and then, right? If I'm looking searching for product and just want to make sure why it's not going on to an order, I will be able to do that, right? Consistency, like, when I say consistency, code consistency, because you can force, you can apply some guidelines and then everybody can just adhere to that. Reason being, you just have one code repo, right? But of course there are some cons as well. Difficult SDLC, what does that really means? When I say difficult SDLC, release cycle becomes really heavy. It becomes kind of like a ceremony. What I have seen in my past experience, whenever we had to release monolithic application, it used to be a big ceremony, quarterly, or maybe twice a year or once a year. It used to be cases like, when we used to only allow to release maybe every quarter or every 6 months, and then we used to have, like, downtime of maybe entire weekend. It was like that. Trust me when I say this. Okay. um Very hard to make small changes and release. Let's say, for example, let during maybe pandemic, or maybe because I'm offering something really nice on my e-commerce website, I'm getting a lot of traffic on my side. Okay, and business is really hyped up. They are really happy. What they really want to do is they probably like to make some changes to their product range. Okay, they like to put maybe some videos around it, some more images, some more description. But here is a problem. Because everything is sitting in one monolithic, any change they make into product, they have to kind of release everything together. It's like a one unit of work. Either everything goes or nothing goes. And what it does, it kind of drags rest of the bits. So even though I'm not making changes to orders, finance, or customer module, only the product module, but because everything is sitting together, I have to release as a one unit of work, which means it has to be tested. Everything has to be tested. I cannot say with confidence, never, right? Doesn't matter how many, automated tests are there, etc., etc. I still have to make sure there is no regression impact. There can be. I added something or removed something from product and it might break my orders. Correct? Okay, so this is how monolithic applications drag you. All right, no horizontal scaling, just vertical. Reason being, why but we can't do horizontal scaling, because everything is kind of talking to one database. It's deployed in maybe one JVM. It's if it's a Java application, right? You can just keep on adding hardwares to it. It's very hard to horizontally scale. I'm not saying it's not possible. It's very hard. All right. So how to convert to microservices? Question comes naturally. How will my customer access all the smaller services? Do they have to kind of access all of them individually? How services will be talking to each other? So these are, like, the first hand questions which will be coming when you tell your business that, what, you want to break it your monolithic to microservices. So we'll try to get answer to all these things. Right. So how are we gonna migrate our monolithic application to microservices based? We're gonna extract out every individual module, and we're gonna deploy as a standalone component or standalone service, i.e. microservice. Let's say customer gonna have its own database. Finance, supported by its own database. Products, fantastic, its own individual standalone database, standalone service. Okay, orders. Um, One thing we will have to do is, even though they are running separately, but they still need to talk to each other, right? So they will be talking to each other. And how are we going to expose that? Because that was the first question came, right? Do now, because everything is running as a standalone service on their own ports, does that mean my customer has to now call maybe 4 services? They can, but of course we don't want to give this experience. So we're going to put API gateway in front of it. So from an API gateway, they are basically used for like reverse proxying, or like they are kind of a facade in between your client and your services. You do not want to expose all these 5,000 services to your client. From their perspective, you still want to give one API, right? So we're going to put API gateway in front of all these services, and all these services will be accessed by API gateway. Of course, as I said, all these applications now need to talk to each other. Earlier, order was, say for example, had products information, it has some price details, it had a customer database. Now orders will be talking to these individual applications, and our customer is always very happy. They don't have to make any changes. They are going to access still seamlessly, like using same port, same path, and all that good stuff, right? So from their perspective, it's a non-breaking change. But what we have done very smartly, we are going to smartly convert our monolithic to services, microservices. All right, I think enough of chatting. Let's just directly dive into code, because as I said, I want to spend most of my time in the code itself. So I hope you can see the screen. Okay, so what I did, as I promised, I created a monolithic application. How did I create it? Just to show you here, I have one eShop, okay, and it has a customer module here, it has an order module here, and it has a product module over here, right? Okay, when we let's just make sure this is our existing stuff. It's running on port 8080. Fantastic stuff. Let's just start this application. So just to have a little feeling what we are giving to our customer, how they are accessing it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call postman, okay, and I'm going to ask my postman to open these various endpoints I have. Let's say I have product endpoint, localhost products p120, okay, is giving me Samsung TV. If I call my customer module, again running on port 8080, customer 100, I got my details, customer 100, C100, user A. Okay, if I call orders on port 8080, I said give me details for order number 200, you got it here, right? It's saying order ID 0200, it's bought by customer called C200, okay, and its name is like user B. That person bought some maybe Sony TV and Samsung TV. I don't know why you boy you will buy these two TVs things together, but hey ho, okay. So somebody bought these two things together. That's fantastic. Um, just for this demo purpose, I'm just gonna quickly show you what I have done over here. For customer, I have a REST endpoint. Okay, it's a Spring Boot application. You have a REST endpoint. It's calling customer DAO, and it's just calling another method called get customer and passing on the customer ID. Internal mechanisms, everything is pretty much right now running in memory. I'm not going to some external store, but just visualize it that this thing is hitting some database, a database in a monolithic way. All the things will be hitting a database, right? So this is what we are trying to pretend over here, that for these customers, okay, you quickly get the details. When it comes to order, what I'm simply doing is I'm going to get order. Get order needs to not only get the order ID details, right? It needs to get the customer details. So we are again going to customer module. It's saying these are the products. So we are going to our product module over here. So you can access products individually when you're building the front of the web application where you're showing all the products catalog. Okay. After that, once customer has bought, you can put it into the customer's bucket or basket or trolley, whatever you want to call it. Okay, and that's how an order is created. Okay, so I hope nothing complex over here. I created this thing before this video to save us time, because the time we want to spend, most of the time the where we want to spend is converting this monolithic to microservices. All right. Okay, so I hope you got a good idea over here. All this code, monolithic code, will be available on my website sagu.uk. You can download it, you can play with it. Now, if we just go back to our presentation, just to tell you where we are, okay, it's always good to have a mental picture. So this is what we saw just now. We had orders module, we have products, we have customer. Everything is running in one monolithic application. It's a very simple in my demo, but let's just assume it's super complex, in real world. Now, what we need to do, we need to actually break it down into these individual modules. That's good. And then we need to put a gateway, API gateway. So what we can start doing is we can start building these modules first. We can start building these modules first, and then slowly, one at a time, we will be migrating our client. Client still will be accessing on 8080. Okay, that's the magic I'm going to show you right away. But they would not know that customer module has been taken away from the old code. Customer doesn't care about the code, but from technical perspective, what I'm saying is you wouldn't even feel that this information is now served from a separate repository. How is going to happen? We're going to see it in a minute. Right. So this is our eShop. It's running fine on port 8080, all good stuff. Now what we need to do is we need to take this customer module from here and we need to put it into our new application. So what I did, I created another empty project called uh, eShop services. Just for demo purposes, I have got one IntelliJ project and these are all the individual modules. But in real life, the intention over here is that these are going to be individual repos. Over here also, just imagine them, just visualize them as individual services. Okay, it's just for for ease, I have put everything in at one place in my IntelliJ, but they are not aware of each other. They are all going to be running on their individual ports. Okay, so what it means is, so let's first thing we decided we want to move our customer application or customer module from monolithic to our microservices based architecture. So what I did, I created, as you can see, I don't have controller, I don't have DAO, I though have a Spring Boot application. If I run this Spring Boot application, it's not going to do anything because it doesn't have a business logic. And that's what we want to do now. We want to migrate our business logic from our monolithic to over here. So if we just go to our resources, so what we're going to do is we will be defining individual port for these applications because these are going to run in separate JVMs now, correct? So they need to have their own ports, right? They can be on same host, they can be on a different host, it doesn't really matter. Okay, what matters is they are individual applications, they are running on their port now. So I have defined port 81. So we're going to call this 81, 82, 83, maybe 84 to this guy. Okay, and at the end, right now, our monolithic is running on 8080. And slowly what we will do, we will assign that 8080 port to our API gateway. Now you got the idea where I'm heading to, right? So we're going to build API gateway as well. And API gateway will be running on port 8080. And as soon as requests come, it's going to redirect to one of these modules automatically. Okay, so perfect. Let's just close everything. Come to our customer module over here. So let's jump back to our monolithic. So let's say in a smart fashion, I'm going to copy paste the code. Obviously, we are not going to rewrite the whole thing. Idea here is to break the existing stuff into smaller services. So I'm going to copy our customer from here. Okay, this is our customer. I'm going to copy this file and go to our controller over here, paste it. Yes, I like to paste my customer. Let's give a different name, shall we? So let's just call it customer service. Earlier it was called customer. Now we are calling it customer service just to distinguish. Okay. Yes, edit. So I can share this code later on. Now it's not happy with few things because obviously I have not moved everything. One thing we will have to do is obviously we have to copy, the DTOs in this service. So depending how your microservices are talking to each other, you may require some sort of DTOs to serialize and deserialize the database. So what we are going to copy is we also need to copy a file called customer DTO. So let's just come back to our over here. Let's call customer DTO. Switch back. Okay. You might not notice, but I have switched back to ESOP service over here. Let's create a folder called new package DTO because this is where we would like to place our customer DTO. Wonderful, wonderful, all good stuff. Okay, now it's gonna complain. So let's just say import class. Okay, what about customer DAO? I don't have a customer DAO, so we need to copy the customer DAO as well. So let's just switch back to our previous code. Come to DAO. Okay, DAO, if you don't know, it's a domain-driven design term. It means data access object. Okay, it's simply basically how you kind of break your classes or nicely put them in different packages. Okay, it's just about the modularization. So what we are looking for, we are looking for customer DAO. Okay, again, we are not going to spend a lot of time thinking what this thing is. It's all about shifting from one place to another. So our DAO is empty at the moment. Let's just copy customer DAO. Okay, okay, it's saying where is customer DTO? Please import. Cool. Come back over here. This guy is happy too. Okay, now everything has been shifted. It took us maybe few days, few weeks, depending how complex your business is. But what we have done or what we have achieved at this point, we managed to migrate our existing customer service from my monolithic to over here. Let's say it's backed up with its own shiny new database and all that good stuff. But objective here is we managed to migrate it. Now, we are not going to expose this to our client just yet because we like to test it first. All right, so come to customer application. Okay, let's run it. Okay, so customer application has been started. Come back to our Postman. Just remind ourselves what port are we listening on. For customer application, new customer application is listening on port 8081. Our existing one was listening on 8080. The new one is going to listen on 8081. So we have just moved our customer. So I'm going to copy this URI over here. Okay, and just to test that 8080 is still running. The sort of industry I come from, we cannot afford downtimes. So we always have to, come up with some innovative ways, smarter ways of migrating things, moving things, upgrading things where you cannot, where you don't have to have a downtime. Okay, so this is exactly what we are going to do in this demo. Also, we're gonna minimize our downtime as much possible. Okay, I'm not saying we're gonna have a zero downtime because we are literally moving from monolithic, but there are ways of achieving that as well. Okay, but so in this demo, you will notice I'm trying to have as less downtime possible. So 8080, as you saw, C100 user A is working. I'm gonna shift to another tab over here just to test it out. Um, okay, and let's just call this guy. So 8080 is working fine. Now we have our new application running. Let's say this is my testing environment. Okay, everything is working absolutely fine. Perfect, perfect. Now, how do I expose this information to our client? That is the biggest challenge, isn't it? So if I just head back to our presentation, so we managed to do migration of this customer service from monolithic, but still we are only able to access internally because we have not exposed this port outside. So what we need to do now is we need to build API gateway and we need to start serving this customer from API gateway. But you may ask, what about finance? What about products? What about orders? This is where we're going to do some magic. So my plan here is to avoid the downtime. Plus, I can start shifting the code to production. What I'm going to do is I'm going to build the API gateway now. I am going to change our monolithic applications port and put it to something else, right? Maybe some 9090 or something. And whatever has been built, we will start serving through API, and whatever has not been built, we will redirect to the old system. How does that sound? Okay, so we're gonna have monolithic still running in the background, but whatever new things are done, we're gonna start serving from that. Perfect. Okay, in order to do that, you have to use a framework and I'm going to use Spring framework called Gateway, API Gateway. Just to give a little history of that, Netflix started this project a few years back, maybe almost now 6, 7, 8 or decade ago. Okay, and then they open sourced it because Netflix was facing this problem, right? They in AWS environment they wanted to, ship the code as quickly possible, and because their customer base was growing, people were demanding more and more streaming, and they wanted to have a system where they can quickly start shipping the new code. And this is where they came up with all these frameworks to properly implement microservices. So we are actually going to use Spring Cloud Gateway, historically Netflix Zool or Zool proxy server. Okay, so how do we start with that? We're just going to head to browser over here. I'm going to go to this portal over here of Spring, and we are going to download Spring Cloud Gateway. Easy way of downloading this thing is you can copy paste things, but you can go to Spring initializer, start.spring.io. You can say, look, I like to build some gateway. Okay, it needs to be a Spring Boot application. It needs to have a gateway module. And this is exactly what I did, right? I downloaded this stuff, and it's already placed in my browser over here. So we don't have to do anything with our customer application, the new customer application. Okay, it's already running. So let's close everything. Just say big party, big time, because we managed to migrate customer module from our monolithic to microservices. Okay, but still it's not, it's running in production, but the external clients are not accessing it. So we're going to make it accessible now. So come to this module called API Gateway, which I have built over here. In the pom.xml, you will notice there is nothing fancy going on over here. I just have a one dependency called org Spring Framework Cloud, Spring Cloud Starter Gateway. That's about it. So the intention is all of our customers now will be hitting the gateway, and gateway will be redirecting everywhere. All right. So what we need to do, first thing first, we have to now start this API gateway on port 8080. So let's just say uh, server.port start on 8080. Obviously, I wouldn't be able to start right away because it's gonna have a clash. So we are getting ready. So it's running on port 8080. The second thing I have to do now is gateway says wherever you want to redirect your things, you have to build routes for those things. Okay, so we're going to build our route. So we just going to have one route which is kind of pointing to our new microservice, and rest can continue to go on the old one. Okay, so how do we build the routes? Let's just say spring dot cloud gateway, okay, and routes. If I hit enter, it's going to format in YAML way. Okay, everything tabbed. In routes, what I'm going to say is, you know what, so what are the things we have? We have products, we have customers, we have orders. So let's start with our customers. So we are going to say ID is equal to customers. Okay, perfect. That's good. What we want to do is it has something called predicates. By the way, this thing which I'm writing over here in YAML can also be done using Java DSL. Okay, but I'm going to do it over here because it looks much cleaner, nicer. Okay, we don't have to write any Java code over here. So we are saying I have ID called customer. You can give any ID. And then we have predicates. Predicate is basically we are saying you use something called path. Okay, whenever customer, let's just go back to our postman. What we were doing, we were calling something called customers slash this is dynamic. Okay, and this is exactly what we are going to do. So we are saying whenever you see customers and followed by anything, customers followed by anything, what you do, you redirect it to a URI localhost. Remember where we are running our new shiny application on port 8081. We are running on port 8081. That's about it. So what we have done over here is we have now built API gateway, and we are saying whenever you see customers, send it to a service called port 8081. Doesn't matter where it's running. I'm running on 8081. It can be anywhere. Now, of course, I can't deploy this application right away because what it will do, it will break our existing monolithic, correct? So there are few times, you can't avoid downtimes because obviously it's a big migration. There are several smart ways, like you can do F5 and red green deployment. But let's say in our local playground over here, we will have a very tiny downtime. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to now also migrate, not migrate, map to our existing services, which are still running on monolithic. Just remember that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, for products, you still go to old monolithic application. But what we are going to do is right now it's running on 8080, but we're going to have a clash with 8080. Okay, so we are going to move all the legacy to port 9090. In my local, that's how I'm doing it. In production, as I said, several thousand ways of doing this. Also, we are saying when you see orders, when you're seeing orders, you redirect that to 9090 as well. Brilliant. We have built our API gateway. All of our services should be now, working as they used to. Customer will not notice a thing because they are still going to hit 8080. If I try to run my application right now, it's gonna fail because it's gonna say port clash. So what we will do real quick, let's head back to our uh, let's head back to our monolithic application over here. Okay, close everything. Collapse all these things because we don't need to, by the way, we don't need to delete customer. It can remain as it is over here. You might ask question, what about the database? Yes, the replication is happening, so it's not our concern over here. Okay, I think I overthink sometimes, right? Because sort of uh, background I am from, like, we always have to be kind of careful. So we're going to migrate from 8080 to 9090, and really quickly we're going to restart our application. Okay, yes, at this time client will not be able to do anything because they are not aware of port 9090. But it took us only few milliseconds or seconds. Okay, we really going to quickly switch back to our eShop services, and we don't have to touch the customer application which is already listening on port 8081. What we need to do is we need to start our API gateway application. Okay, what we are going to do is we are going to go back to our Spring Boot application. It's very simple Spring Boot application, right? We are going to start it, and it's going to start listening on port 8080. So our API gateway is uh, ready, but it's complaining. It's saying, I'm not happy with few things you have given me. So which one is it not liking? So I think I have got some space problem. So it needs to be Spring Cloud Gateway roots id equal to whatever, predicate equal to whatever, path equal to customer, id products. Did I copy paste? Problem. So id and uri, id predicates and uri have to be on same line. That looks good. Maybe it was because of the enter. I may have caused the issue. Let's try one more time. Oh dear, oh dear. Okay, it's saying binding to target failed to under Spring Cloud Gateway to Cloud Gateway config, gateway properties failed. Value reason must not be empty. So it looks like it's somehow some formatting messed up over here. So I hope it's not just a tab issue. So this predicates path. Let's just try to understand the error rather than rushing. Da, da. Application failed to start. Prefix Spring Cloud Gateway. Error creating gateway properties, could not bind properties. Am I using the right? Yeah, it is. It is looking good. That's the fun, isn't it? When you have these type of issues and you don't know exactly what's going on. So error creating bean with name gateway properties, could not bind properties with gateway properties. Prefix Spring Cloud Gateway, ignore invalid fields value. So looks like our YAML is not happy. So what we can do is for now, excuse me, we can shift to Java DSL because we know it's gonna work. It looks like in YAML it just not happy. So I have Java DSL available too. Okay, so we are simply going to work off that. Let's just enable everything over here. Hopefully it will work. It's just some space problem in the previous one. All right, so we are saying customers and customer is running on port 8081. Good. Okay. Uh, let's just copy and paste products, products, localhost. Remember, product is still running on 9090. And this is our orders. Orders. Perfect. Okay. I hope if we get lucky this time, it should work. So what I have done is I have removed the YAML style over here. I think I had probably some space or something. Don't have time to debug in this video. It's gonna waste our time. We can achieve the same thing by Java DSL as well. Okay. Uh, right. Good news. Okay. So our API gateway is started and it's listening on port 8080 as you can see over here. So let's go back to our lovely postman. I hope you can see the text. I am thinking if I can maybe zoom in a little bit. Ah, yeah, perfect. Because I have a really big monitor over here. Keep zooming in. All right. Okay. So if I come back to my customer, if I say send, nice, beautiful. See, we are still listening on port 8080 and customer is served from where? From our new microservice. Let's go back to product. What about products? Boom, product is coming from legacy. But from customer's perspective, 8080 is still the port for them, right? Same. What about orders? Order should be doing the same thing. Order is doing exactly the same thing. It's giving me the order ID, it's giving me the customer details, but everything coming from the legacy. Everything coming from the legacy. Now let's just quickly come back to our lovely editor and let's start migrating other applications. Okay, our API gateway work is done for now. As we start migrating our applications, we will start updating the API gateway too. At this point, good news is we don't have to now restart monolithic. Reason being because we have already changed the port of monolithic to 9090. So they can continue to run, but we can just keep shifting our applications over here. So let's next thing we want to do is we want to do product probably. Okay, again, quickly copy paste. Let's go to our Java code and we are saying this time, you know what? I want to move my product from this to new service. And we decided to call them product service. Product service. All right, that's all good stuff. We need DTO. Quickly come to DTO. What I'm going to do this time is I'm going to copy all the DTOs because anyways, we will require in real soon. Okay, so let's create a DTO folder inside product. Let's create DTO folder over here. Okay, and paste all these DTOs which we just got. Yes, I would like to add them. That's it. DTO work is completed. Let's just import. It's still looking for product DAO because we have not moved that. So let's go to our data access object over here. Product DAO. I'm going to dump this DAO over here. Yes. Okay. It should just work seamlessly. So now you know the pattern, you know exactly how it works. It was super simple for us to migrate our monolithic product from, yes, monolithic to new services. Okay, what we are simply going to do now is we are going to, so our product is ready to hit production. We're gonna go back to our API gateway application. What we need to do now is we need to say, look, you know what? This is ready for prime time. Change the port from 80 to 82. And one more thing you will have to do is you have to go back to your product application and you have to say, go on, listen on port 8082. Listen on port 82. So whatever you have defined over here, you come back to your API, you say, this is what it is. So customer migrated, products we are about to migrate. Only thing which will remain is order, and that's going to be the exciting one because order needs to talk to customers as well as product. And this is where we will be doing, internal chit chat. Okay. So come back to our services over here. Just literally, no, first we have to start our product application, right? Because this is what we are going to use. So product application is going to be listening on port 8082. Hopefully we should see it over here. There we are. It's listening on port 8082. Product is started. We're just gonna bounce our API gateway application because we have changed some details about it, right? API gateway application is restarting. It's restarted in no time. Go back to Postman, one thing at a time. So let's just say now get 8080 and we should be getting the same things. Perfect, perfect. We have now managed to migrate our products to, and remember this time we didn't have to touch monolithic. This is how you do smartly, one thing at a time. Last thing, what is remaining? So we managed to do customer. I didn't have a finance module, by the way. We managed to do customer, we managed to do product, we need to do orders. Remember one thing, order talks to product as well as customer. Why does it talk? If you remember in Postman, if we head back to our Postman, our order has details about customer, it has details about product. In a true microservice fashion, we are not going to have a business logic to hold information about customer or products. We are going to ask a microservice to give that information in real time. You can cache it, that's fine, but golden source or the real data should always be coming from those microservices. That's the whole idea. That's the whole idea. Okay, now let's do one thing. What we need to do now is finally we have to build our order module. And this is where all the fun is. Okay, and you will notice in a second. So we're going to leave this as it is because order this needs to continue. Let's close everything. Just for preparation, what I'm going to do is we literally copied DTO, if you remember. So I'm going to copy the same DTO because we need all these things. Even though, you know what, product did not need customer DTO or order DTO, but I was just being lazy, so I just copied everything. We can delete it later on. Doesn't matter. Okay, but order needs all these things. So we come over here, we paste the entire DTO folder over here. Yes, please copy. We got our DTOs because order needs all this information. What about DAO and controller? Okay, I have order DAO. It's empty. We will have to copy it or build it from scratch. I have order DAO. So I copied order DAO, which is fine. But order DAO is now it's saying I can't find the method because we have to implement it. Earlier, what was happening? If I just switch back to order DAO, if I switch back to order DAO, what was happening earlier, order DAO was, kind of getting this information locally because it has access to all these modules, but we don't have it now. We are going to invoke our microservice. So let's write the code real quick. In Spring, you can use a utility called REST template. Okay, what REST template does, it has like all the methods to invoke HTTP and then do the deserialization and pass really good parameters. So you don't have to build this boilerplate code. You just utilize this utility given by Spring. So let's come back to our order DAO. Okay, we are here in the order DAO. What we need to do is, first thing we have to say, you know what, I need private REST template. Okay, I need REST template because I'm running locally, so I don't have to worry about this security, etc. So I'm gonna make it final and I'm gonna inject this. Okay, so I'm going to inject into constructor. This is the right way of doing it. It's saying I cannot find REST template because we don't have a bean, as I was saying about security. So we can use is one thing called builder. Okay, so Spring automatically gives you this for testing purposes, etc. And I'm going to use builder.build. Okay, our REST template is ready for prime time. So what was the error we were getting? It was saying I can't find a method called order get order. So let's create this method. Let's create this method. Okay, so based off order ID, we need to build this object. Okay, so I have, let's say, some details about the order 100 200 because that's my module. But what I do not have is I don't have customer details. I don't have product details, right? So I need to get like customer name, for example. When I created order, I had a customer ID and product ID, but I don't have further details. So I need to enrich this entire object. So what we are going to do is we are going to call our REST services over here. So let's just do one thing. We can still utilize a few bits from our previous module. So let's say like this is how our local thing was. So I'm going to copy this thing and I'm going to put it somewhere over here. Okay, obviously it's not going to find get customer, it's not going to find get product. So let's create get customer locally. Okay, it needs to return we'll sort out all these things. Customer ID. Okay, let's return null for now because at least I want to have my code to be compiling. This customer was used to be optional of DTO. So it used to be optional of customer DTO, right? So that's good. Now let's just build our product. Product used to be a list of uh, product ID. Again, it used to be optional of product DTO. All right. So our this thing is happy. What we can do is we can, because it's not going to be like available as you start your application, but because now Spring has to initialize few things. So what we will do, we'll we'll take this code, okay, this initialization, and we just to prove our point that it's working, we're gonna put this in let's just make it private. We're gonna put it into private. So there is a utility or annotation, actually I shouldn't be calling utility, called post construct, because we have to wait for beans to be properly initialized, right? So what we are going to do is in my public void init, I am going to put this thing over here. So all good. So after this being constructed, it's going to preload all these things for me. Second thing I want to do is I'm saying whenever a call to get order comes, you go and invoke a microservice because we don't have it right now. So what we need to do is we have to say REST template, give me get object. Okay, and here is going to be my URI. I'm going to specify that in a second. Give me the order. I think I did something wrong over here. Customer. order DTO, get order. Where was the get order called from? Oh, sorry, this is called from here. That's fine. Where did we put get customer? Ah, it's been moved at the top. Oh man. Let's just move this at the bottom because I was getting confused. Okay, so this get order can simply work off our orders because this is where we kind of have preloaded all these things. Okay, and I'm saying based off order ID, uh, you return this optional of nullable. Okay, because order can be null. We're not doing a lot of exception handling over here. That's okay. So for get product, what we need to do is we need to go to product service. So go to REST template. Okay, you don't need to be static now. You don't need to be static now. Remember, this is a copy paste from the previous. For object, you call this URI, which we'll specify in a second, and then give me product DTO. Give me product DTO, okay? And REST template will do all the magic for us. So let's try to define a URI. What we can do is we can define some sort of, uh, final or constant at the top. So let's call it product DTO, okay? And let's just create this constant at the top. We are going to call it string product DTO HTTP localhost. Where is our product running, by the way? Our product service is running on 8082, which is good. So we are going to call 8082 over here. Product is running on 8082. Where was I? Here it is. So let's just do one thing. We can define this as a template. So products and percentage s. Okay, this is how in Java you kind of define a template and then you can just keep on reusing it. So I'm going to say string dot format product DTO comma product ID. Okay, so our URI will be built at runtime because every product ID will be different. Okay, let's just do a static import to save some space over here. That's it. Now I am going to return this get for object and I'm going to say return optional of nullable. Okay, because the service might be down, might be returning null or whatever, and done. So our product is ready, and in real time we'll be getting the information from this thing. We're not going to monolithic, by the way. We have to do same for customer DTO. So I'm going to copy paste this thing. The only thing which we have to change here is customer DTO. Okay, now we need customer. I should have called URI rather than DTO. I don't know why, what I was thinking. So let's just go to this guy as well, rename it URI. Okay, duplicate this. What we are looking for now? We are looking for customer underscore URI. Where is our customer service running? I think it was running on 8081. Okay, so it was running on 8081 as you can see over here. So customer is running on 8081. Let's move it up so it's kind of in a sequential order. Customers, perfect. There we are. Our order is now ready to talk to our internal microservices, and this is where we have done our migration from monolithic to microservice. Good stuff. What we need to do now is we need to come to order, and remember we have to define a port. We have to define a port. Okay, so 80, 81, 82 are occupied. We're gonna do 80, 83. This is ready, no compilation issues. All work is done. The last bit we have to do, we have to come to our API gateway and we have to say to API gateway, you've been serving this from 9090. Thank you very much. Please start getting from 8083. Start getting from 8083. Boom, done. We have migrated all of our monolithic modules, component, whatever you want to call it, to microservices. Let's bounce. Come on. Let's restart. First, we have to start product application. Remember, because it's not running. Oh, sorry. Oh, what I'm talking. We have to first start order application. Correct? So it's ready to talk. Good. Order application is started, and it's already talking to other microservices, because remember, in the post construct we pre-cached everything. The only thing we have to do now is we have to bounce our API gateway. Let's bounce it. Bounce means restart, whatever geeky term that is. Okay, API gateway started in 1.5 seconds. How quick is that? Client wouldn't even notice it. How smart and fast we are. Cool. So our orders were earlier coming from where? They were coming like no part microservice, part monolithic. Now, if I call our order service, beautiful. Everything is coming from microservices. How do I prove that? How do I make sure? I might be kind of bluffing over here. Let's go back to our monolithic. Time to say thank you to our monolithic. It's your time to retire. Rest in peace. Boom. Kill it. Our eShop monolith has been killed. It's not running now. It's not running now. Okay. So, which means all the calls which our customer is going to make now will be served by our API gateway and forwarded to different microservices. And internally, microservices are talking to each other as well. So if I hit this button one more time, how cool is that? Oh my gosh, we have built a fancy microservice. Order number 100 working. What about product? Everything is listening on port 8080. Just remember that. This is working. What about customer service? This is working too. All right, guys, congratulations. Big party time. We have migrated our monolithic application to microservices, and our client is happy. They didn't even notice a thing. I hope you liked the video. I'm going to put everything on sagu.uk. Please give me thumbs up if you like it, subscribe, and then share it. Most importantly, leave me your feedback. Tell me, like, how did you find it's too long session? I should be shortening it up. Okay. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much.